What are the main issues, the problems of people managing security systems nowadays? And in this context, what is the security-connected philosophy that McAfee is promoting right now?
Okay, thank you. The prime challenges we see in information security today is that you're dealing with an enemy that you don't know, and the enemy just want to create havoc and damage in organizations, which is a driver we see happening, but they're typically after financial gains. So the game has started from destruction and nuisance to intellectual property theft, so stealing your ideas, as well as financial theft, which is what banks and credit card companies are very focused on. That also means that you need multiple layers of defense. There is not a single security product that can solve all security problems, if that would ever be invented. So you have to combine security controls, and that fits in what we call the McAfee Security Connected Strategy, which in essence comes down to bringing together security controls in one overall management system, and that gives you better operational control, better total cost of ownership, and better visibility on your security environment.
So according to that, what are your plans of developing your products and your development strategy here in Poland on our market?
So what we're doing in the Polish market is that we execute our go-to-market strategy, customized for local markets. So we have a worldwide architecture on how we do that. But of course, if you compare let's say the US to Germany to UK to Netherlands to Poland and other markets, you have to customize. So we focus on a couple of market segments. So we focus on the large enterprise, which is really important for us. We focus on what we call the commercial markets. And then we have the small and medium business segment. For each of these three markets, we have a separate, well-defined go-to-market strategy. And all three of them are implemented in Poland as well, with the team we have on the ground, as well as overseas in Ireland, for instance.
Since February 2011, McAfee is wholly owned by Intel Corporation. And I would like you to ask about the benefits and outcomes which the end users gain from your cooperation.
Over 2 years, we're a wholly owned subsidiary of Intel, and we operate as an independent security company in the market, which means we can do all the things needed to be successful as a security supplier. At the same time, we have a big parent that has the strategy and the longevity to make sure we can execute on our strategic items. One specific example I would like to raise here of our cooperation with Intel is the hardware-based security products that we've brought to market, called Deep Safe together. One of them is Deep Defender, identified as the only product in the market today that was able to stop 48 rootkits from real-life PCs. The other product in that family is Deep Command, which helps remote management of machines. And both of them are powered by vPro, which is the advanced feature set in Intel CPUs.
Nowadays, the threats of IT systems are much more complicated and less predictable than just decades or a few years ago. So, what should be the starting point of companies that want to properly localize the threats the potential threats that can breach their security?
So our philosophy is that you cannot protect everything at all costs. It's just impossible. There's too much to protect, and we believe it's not needed either. So let's call it the roadmap that we advise to all our customers is risk-based. So you look at the risks that you carry, and then you look at how you can provide protection against those risks. So we call it the 3 R's. So it's called risks. Which risks do you carry? Ruins. What could make your company go bankrupt? And regulations. Which regulations do you have to adhere to? And then the IT security department should work very close with the business owners to bring in that tie, to figure out what's important to the business and protect first and foremost what's important to the business with the tools available.
For addition, the industrial espionage was one of the main risks of companies connected to network, especially for those who have the valuable know-how. How they can effectively protect their assets from hackers' attacks and other form of security breach?
Yeah, there have been a few very visible examples over the last 2.5 years in this area. In the area of intellectual property, I can recall Night Dragon, which is around 2 years ago, very focused on the petrochemical industry, trying to steal all kind of intelligence around oil fields and chemical processes. And damage to be done to your company is sometimes hard to identify, because you only find out once your competitor has that knowledge in hand.
Once you're ruined.
Once you're ruined, there you go, and then it's too late. Now, offering 100% protection against every potential threat, I don't think is something we can promise today. I don't think we can promise that as a company. I don't think any competitor can. Right? It's about people, process, and technology. But protecting what's most valuable is where to start. And then what's most important today is to know what's going on in your environment. And what I mean with that is many advanced persistent threats, which are critical to theft of intellectual property, get the chance to hang around for a year, 2 years, or longer. There's been some recent research from a Mandiant in the US. Bringing that time down, so people have less time to sniff around in your environment, is a very important strategy. And for that you need intelligence about what's going on in your environment. So manage your security risk and know what's going on.
Another question is about cloud computing, which is gaining more and more popularity. For example, SaaS allows companies to reduce the costs associated with maintaining and updating software. So, cloud solution users often doubt the security of this kind of process, the security of their data stored and edited on external servers, not in their companies. So, how does McAfee supports the safety of the cloud?
Today you can buy roughly anything as a service, in software, applications, infrastructure, storage. You can even buy hacking services as a service. We'll publish a paper at the end of the month in this area. So it's a very important industry trend. There's kind of two sides. The company dealing with the cloud offering can afford to have more expertise and leverage that across their customer base, so which is a good thing. So they can offer more expertise to protect you and your colleague companies making use of the cloud offering. At the same time, the price is bigger if you get in there, right? Because there's more more data to steal. So that's kind of two sides to it. We offer our portfolio of security solutions, and a very specific one that we offer in this space is the Cloud Identity Manager, which helps in authenticating users against cloud applications, helps with single sign-on to cloud-based applications, including provisioning. So new people get provisioned automatically. More importantly, if they leave a company, their accounts get withdrawn from the cloud applications as well. And with that we support so identity and then web and email traffic in a secure way being exchanged between your premises and the facility of the cloud provider.
My another question will be about your other tools of yours, about the GTI Web Reputation Tool and CM systems dedicated for tracking logs and analyzing data flow. So, according to your security connected framework, how did McAfee develop those particular devices?
So a very important element of any technology acquisition or company acquisition we do is synergy with what we already have. One of the strongholds of McAfee is McAfee Labs, which is where we do malware analysis, threat analysis in the broadest sense of the word. All that intelligence goes into GTI, Global Threat Intelligence, which basically is a huge cloud-based database that uses different threat vectors to track. So we track files for malware, but we track URLs, email addresses, IP addresses as well. So one thing we already track on a day-to-day basis is fraudulent IP addresses or malicious IP addresses. That's available. We invest a lot in keeping that up to date. At the same time, we now have with our SIEM offering, which came from the Nitro acquisition, a world-class high-performance system that can collect flow information. And by checking the flow against the reputation of an IP address, we can alert against suspicious communication. Alert, right? And it's suspicious. Is it really bad? I mean, you have to investigate, but we can...
Before we will be ruined.
Correct, before you're ruined. And we've seen some great examples where we do a proof of concept with a customer, and within an hour's time, we go like, why is one of your hosts communicating with a site in a country where you have no presence? And then you can fill in that there's many countries where you don't want to have communication with. And then people immediately can go and search for what's going on here. There are evasion tactics again for these, that's part of it as well, but typically they give you a very good stronghold or a very good pointer towards potential security problems in your environments.
In a moment when you can rescue your data.
And then you can still be in time to, the other thing you can do, and that's pretty unique about our SIEM offering, this comes with our SIEM, it's actionable, which means that if you identify a threat, you can change a policy in your environment automatically. I mean, to your choosing, right? You can decide not to do that as well. So if you would find suspect communication with a certain address, you could automatically shut the communication with that address, so at least you protect your intellectual property at that
Unless
point.
you're be sure it's safe.
There you go. Yeah. So that's one of the offerings we have.
Computer systems are especially vulnerable during their booting. So I would like to ask about how can users protect their devices from threat when a hacker will try to breach the computer during the booting.
Yeah, the extreme case we've seen is where actually systems shipped from the factory were infected already from the moment they were shipped. I'm not sure we can come up with a scheme to protect against that. I'm sure it can be done, but let's leave that to the side. The nasty ones are the ones that are very persistent. Typically they were boot record viruses, so you can reboot your machine, but they immediately reinstall themselves and hide themselves from the operating system. So typically an element of a rootkit. Now we see them going one step further, and they can infect a BIOS as well. And so then you can re-image your disk and you will still get problems back. So that's where the hardware-based security that we developed together with Intel comes in as a real big help. And the other thing Intel is doing is what is called the secure boot sequence. It's all credential-based, so there's strong cryptographic structures underneath to make sure that the system you're booting is safe and has not been infected by a BIOS virus, for instance. Another example of cooperation with our parent company, and I think they have the position in the market to really drive this forward, working together with big operating system vendors as well.
Sometimes even in the largest companies, after releasing one of the critical updates of their safety systems, security administrators doesn't install those updates for even a couple of weeks. So, which in other words mean loopholes or even gateways for hackers and other potential attackers. So how do we can prevent the human factor, the routine and lack of attention?
Yeah, so in security, and as I mentioned as well, it's about people, it's about process, and it's about technology. In that order as well. So technology is an element, but it's the third element in the overall architecture. Updates are challenging. Right? It's very difficult to roll out updates across a large organization. So we will always advise to make sure you get updates installed as quickly as you get a chance. At the same time, we offer technology that allows you to estimate your risk with a certain vulnerability. We call that Risk Advisor, and it gives you a comprehensive view on your overall environment, which means that if a new threat comes out, we will feed it into Risk Advisor, so that comes via GTI, risk advisor knows the environment, but also knows the countermeasures in place. So for instance, if you have a network IPS installed that protects against a certain threat, then you can hold back on patching because you don't have an immediate threat, because the network IPS will stop that threat. And that way, we want to make sure that the people responsible for running an environment from a security perspective can focus their energy and their time, and there's never enough with the time they have, on the real important threats, and take the rest in a regular patch cycle, for instance. So that's an element to relieve the human factor in security.
How does McAfee systems prevent data stealing or infecting them from inside of the companies due to growing popularity of bring your own device solutions? In this context, for example, can we defend ourselves from malware attacking mobile devices such as smartphones or tablets?
Bring your own device has a long history, because if you go back to a USB stick that you plug into a laptop or a PC, that's kind of bring your own device as well, with the threats that came with that. So we've been kind of used and designing controls for that. The real challenge in bring your own device is the willingness of an organization to put proper security controls in place. Now, our philosophy is that a universal management console is mandatory for proper protection of an environment, and in that management console we want to support every device, every computing device. So that's what we do with the e-policy orchestrator, and for instance mobile devices, whether it's Android or iOS or name them, can be protected with EMM, as we call it, from within that same management console, giving the company the ability to control mobile devices coming into the environment, and at the same time give the freedom to compute to the end user as well. So it's reaching best of both worlds.
I would like you to ask about your personal predictions about IT security in the coming years. Which company assets will get more vulnerable in the next few years? What will be the security threats for about 5 years to the future?
Yeah, so 5 years is a long time from now, but if we go by the developments over the last 25 years, so McAfee was founded in 1987 when the first virus came out, to now, I think one thing that definitely helps is follow the money. Designing sophisticated attacks requires a lot of investment on the attacker side as well, and there has to be a business case. Also, the bad side of this equation works with business cases. So figuring out what's the business case, trying to diminish that business case. So is it worth stealing information? What can you do with it? Anything you can do in that space helps. The other thing is that watching personal data, personal information, where I think in many places we're still too relaxed. And personal information has a high emotional as well as real value in money as well. So I think we'll see a lot of focus on protecting personal information in central governments, local governments, healthcare institutions, where more IT will be used. And at the same time, the threat for stealing intellectual property will just go on. I think we've seen a start. That's no doubt that's going to continue, and we'll fight hard together with our customers to protect them as good as we can to stop that threat for them.
Thank you for...
It was my complete pleasure. Thank you so much.